So your 450 race recap brought to you by our friends at Gutterworks. Gutterworks gutters, always well hung, just like Justin Barsha.
Just like he hung that front wheel over the
Just
backside of that Dragon's back.
Oh man, he did too. But
Supercross at its finest at this point in the year.
Let's start with Chase Sexton pulls off that win. He was the one guy on that track making time.
So I'm going to ask you a question, and I guess we could just put it in as one together because Eli, we're going to talk about him next.
Yes, I think he wins the next two races also.
I mean, probably. Because I think that... But do you think what happened last night with the only... there's a few other things that we're going to get to it, unfortunate things, but do you kind of feel that Eli at the beginning of that main, even though Chase was working his way through, Eli, because we had talked about this on the show last week, is Eli mailing it in? How hard is he riding? Do you think Eli at the beginning of that main sprinted away and he goes, I'm just going to show everyone that I still can do this? Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying Chase wasn't riding really good because he was, but part of me believes that as much of a gap that Eli got out, I mean, dude, he was 3.5 up in lap 2.
Yeah.
That he kind of was just like, yeah, okay, fine. Whatever. Chase, you can have it.
Yeah.
Chase was riding really good.
No. He laid up when Chase got there.
And that's what I mean.
And we all watched it.
And that's what I mean. I think Chase was riding really good, but I do believe that had Eli kept the pace that he was going at the beginning of that main, I don't think Chase was beating that.
Okay, but I want to set the record straight on this. I don't believe he laid up until Chase got to him. I don't believe okay.
I don't know, man.
Okay, maybe the only other thing I could think that maybe he laid up. Do you remember that one lap they were watching him and he about nose picked it through the whoops there? That might have puckered his
when he started going teeter-totter and he went
Yeah.
front wheel high into the berm?
Yeah, and Ricky's going, oh. That might have been the thing that he went, you know what? Let's not throw this away.
Because he was gone, though.
Yeah.
He was gone up until that
was.
point. And I think Eli, I think you're right. I think when that happened, he's like, all right, dude, track's fucking marbly. It's concrete.
I was going to say, I agree with you at the beginning. He was like, you know what? Fuck you guys. I'm just going to go do this.
Which leads me to believe that I think Eli has definitely been laying up a lot of these races lately.
Probably.
Because the fact that he could do what he did last night,
yeah.
And even James and Ricky are going, it's been a very long time since we've seen Eli had this urgency at the beginning of a main. Because it's been a while since he sprinted away like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd have to go back.
Which was impressive, too, because he already knew Coop was gone.
And that's what I mean is
And it's exactly like James said on the broadcast. Yo, you can tell me, but
that
as far as
matter.
we're concerned, Coop's still here, but you know Coop's not there.
And I think Eli wanted to prove a point, which still leads me to believe, and it's funny, somebody called us, well, I don't know if they were calling us out, calling you, the whole, is Eli going to make it through the summer? That leads me to believe that Eli is just fine. He knows what's at hand. He's got this wrapped up.
Yeah.
I don't think the Eli that we saw at the beginning of the year is gone. I think that Eli has just been managing this championship.
Yeah, it could be.
And he realizes, hey, when the big dog wants to eat, the big dog is going to eat.
Here's the thing. You can't really argue him winning the title, though. He's won 7 fucking races.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, Chase has
been outright faster than him in a lot of them.
4. He's been faster, and now he's got 4, right?
Yes.
So he's won 4
because he's got
this
Detroit. No. Yes, Detroit, Atlanta, the first triple crown, and now this one, so 4. Yep. Because Coop still had the 2.
Yeah. So okay. So you can argue Chase being faster because outright speed he is, and by the time we get to the end of the season here, there's a high probability he's going to have 6 wins.
Probably
right behind
next
Eli's
weekend though.
7.
Maybe Eli wants to
because
it's Denver
and wrap it up.
Yeah, or just because it's Denver and he's in his hometown and he just wants to go. Hey.
Yeah, that could be. But anyway.
But yeah.
But by the time you get to the end of the season, let's put it this way: it's not going to be a Dungey title. As much as he's laying up and managing it, it's not a Dungey title. Also, where you get done and you go, "Oh, he shouldn't have won."
Also, because Dungey a lot like that. If you're talking about 2017, which I know that's probably what you're referring to.
Yeah,
he won that title though, where he was at no point the fastest guy.
Yeah.
Eli
100%.
has clearly won. Where maybe outright speed, lap time hasn't been faster, but he's been faster.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
You're not gonna go. He won it, but
because once again, let's go back to A1, San Diego, and Houston.
Yeah,
Eli he slapped the shit out of Chase.
He smacked that
yeah,
ass.
Yeah, and Houston once again, when we saw what Chase did to him in the heat race, and then Chase is behind him the whole main, he had nothing for him.
Yep.
Once again. When Eli wants to bring the big dog out, he brings the big dog out. And he's like, look, guys, I'm still the baddest dude in America. There's nothing you're going to do about it.
Yeah.
So I think that last night at the beginning of that main, I think that he proved it, and I think that it just kind of solidifies the fact that he just knows he's still the top dude.
So here's another thing. I do think that if he wants to win outdoors, he needs Eli, I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think he needs to win next week, because if you let Chase go 4 in a row here where he doesn't have an issue.
3 in a row.
3 in a row. Sorry. 3 in a row.
4 out of the last
4
5.
out of the last 5.
Yeah.
If you let him go 4 out of the last 5 where he doesn't have an issue, and the 5th one, it wasn't a him issue really. It was,
just,
Barsha and combined with the mud there. I think you have a problem, because this is the kind of stuff that everyone's been talking about, of like, you let him get this confidence that he can go out there and do it and not fall over. It's not going to bode well for you.
See, I agree, because we've been talking about this with Chase for a long time. And once again, you got Jet coming up. That's in the back of everybody's mind. Dylan, which we all knew, is not going to ride Supercross. He's going to get ready for outdoors. He's back on the bike. Like you have all this stuff brewing, but it still makes me believe that I think part of me thinks if it was anyone else, I would have to agree with that 100%. But because this is Eli, and Eli just does Eli things when he wants to, I don't think in his mind, I think that he thinks that. We may all think that, and I think the powers that be and all the pundits will be like, yeah, kind of like all the stuff that we had heard at the beginning of the season. Man, if Chase ever figures this out, they're all fucked. Like everything that was going on in the paddock, if Chase ever figures this out. But let's be real. Do we really think Eli thinks that? Because that's all that matters. All of us can think that.
Yeah, that's true.
All of us can think that.
You're right.
But do you really think Eli? It's kind of like the Cooper Webb thing when he went on Jace's show. Coop went up there and he tried to fuck with him, and Eli just looks at him.
Yeah.
And then looks away, and Coop's like, shit. That didn't work. I don't think shit like that gets in Eli's head, because I think Eli still knows that he has that little thing in his back pocket that like Stu always had, that if I want to flip the switch, I can flip the switch.
I think he has that. I fully agree with that. But
it helps Chase more than anyone.
I was going to say, but the problem is if you give Chase that confidence.
But once again,
here's the thing.
Do you ultimately think Eli really cares though?
I don't think he does. But here's the problem. If you give Chase that confidence, now you go into outdoors, and let's say in the first 6 motos, Chase wins 4 of them or something, and like straight up beats you in a few. Like, how long before you start going, uh-oh?
But I mean, High Point, it took him the last year till the 4th round before he finally started taking over.
Yeah, I guess.
I personally think that Chase and Jet are going to be fucking around with each other too much for it to even matter.
Maybe.
I agree with you, but I think that we have to get to the point. I think that this was a couple years ago. I think he'd be spot on. But I think Eli, at this point in his career, I don't think there's anyone. I don't even care if it was Jet Lawrence. I don't think that he would give 2 shits what you do, because I think in his mind that he knows, outside of Jeffrey Hurlings coming over, and not even this Jeffrey Hurlings right now, but like...
We can talk about that in a little bit,
yeah,
too.
we can, which is good. I don't think any of these dudes, honestly, scare him. And they shouldn't. Like, he's accomplished more than anybody in the world riding a dirt bike right now. There's nothing outside of fucking Ryan Villapoto or Ricky Carmichael coming back. There's not a dude on this planet that has accomplished more at riding a dirt bike than him. And I don't think it bothers him, because I think he knows in his heart of hearts that if he wants to beat you, he's going to beat you.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't care if it's Chase Sexton. I don't care if it's Jet Lawrence. I don't care if it's Dylan Ferendis. Like I said, outside of a 100% Jeffrey Hurlings, I don't think any of those dudes can beat him. When Eli wants to show up, I don't think they can beat him.
Yeah.
Look at Millville's second moto. He proved that last year.
Yeah, we're going to see.
Now, I think that it helps Chase out. I think that a confidence boost for Chase, of all people. But this is kind of like back in the day with Ricky and Stu. Ricky always knew that at some point one of these that Stu's going to crack. Stu's faster than him, but they always know at some point this dude's going to crack. And I think Eli looks at it the same way. I think he looks at it with Chase. I think he's going to look at it with Jet, and the same thing with Dylan. Yeah, maybe these dudes are faster than me today, but at some point they ain't going to be able to keep this shit up. I can, because he's proven he can.
Yeah.
And I actually hope Chase does win out, because I want to see a 100% Chase come into Paula and be 100% confident, because then we have the battle of all battles. We have a 4-way fight all the way down to the finish, because I think we have that on the horizon. But ultimately, I think that Eli just doesn't care. I don't think it bothers him. I don't think any of these dudes scare him, and they really shouldn't.
No, he is one of those mental giants.
He's Carmichael.
There.
He's like Carmichael, and he's like Hurlings when Hurlings is 100%. Those are the only 3 dudes that I've ever seen in my time that you can't break those dudes mentally. You can't. At least this version of Eli. A couple years ago, maybe, because he hadn't got the Supercross title yet.
Yeah.
But dude, he's going to be coming up on his 3rd Supercross title.
Yep.
And he's going to be the favorite for the outdoor title, in my opinion, at least. So you've won 8 championships since 2017. Like, dude, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That's fucking nuts.
Yeah, it is. It is. All right, so we've talked about Chase. We talked about Eli there. Kenny gets 3rd.
By
default a little bit.
By default, because I don't think he was going to pass Barsha.
But again, here's the thing, too. That track, where he started was where he finished. Because, like, there got to a point in the main where I'm watching timing and scoring on the side, and I'm just like, is anybody moving?
No.
And I'm, like, literally watching... I'm watching splits, and I'm like, no one is making time or lose outside of Chase at that point. No one is making time or losing time. Everyone is just where they're at, and it's basically where they started.
Yeah, and the crazy thing, too, is if you look at some of the rhythm sections, there was different things you could do. But ultimately, no matter what line, if you pick the low line, like kind of same thing with that boot or the table over 2. You know, unless you just drove into the face really hard and just absorbed all the energy of the front end, like you still were going to get a lot of pop instead of driving forward. So even if you doubled over and stayed low, okay, you ultimately weren't going as far, but because you were getting so much lift, you weren't driving forward. So you'd ultimately end up with the same thing at the end of the rhythm section.
Did you see anybody do that before we saw Tomac doing that in the heat race?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Someone was doing it
during practice.
There was who was it? Why am I drawing a blank right now?
Because like I didn't see it, and when he did that, I was like, "Ooh, that's big." And then
Smitty did it in
that's
practice.
Faster.
Smitty did it in practice. He did it once. He did it once.
I was gonna say that's weird because I didn't see any 250 guys
He did
do
it. He did it one time in practice, and they almost didn't even catch it because they were at a back camera. They weren't side view. It was a behind camera.
Interesting.
Because even like he hucked it, and Blair was like, "Holy like he didn't say holy shit, but he's like, "Holy crap, that's big."
Yeah.
And Smitty, like, dude, he was stretched. Yeah. To get up and over.
That doesn't surprise me.
But yeah. So ultimately, like, you were doing the same thing. The sand section was one line because that little inside roller like was at the apex, so you weren't gonna jump to it because you jumped to the outside. So okay, we're going to the outside the sand section. The whoops were just try not to skip across and crash. And then the off camera, like ultimately you'd go like some guys were going to the outside. Like I said, you were tiptoeing.
No. Let's rephrase that. Eli made that outside line.
Oh yeah,
because he was the only one doing it.
Because then Hill started going to the out.
Yeah,
like I said though, you like could go to the outside, but the problem is that you were tiptoeing to the outside. So like it really wasn't
for
that.
a while. Yeah, and then like I said, then Eli did it enough, and he broke in a rut there, and then it was like, okay, cool, we can go there.
So there was nowhere. It was literally follow the leader. Like there was nothing out there that you could do differently.
No,
and it was basically like, okay, let's just put in the same lap time every lap, and I'm probably going to be able to move forward because at some point somebody's going to make a mistake.
There were bodies everywhere. It was chaos.
Yeah.
For that kind of stuff. Colt Nichols gets 4th.
Once again, kind of just by default.
But yeah.
Like, great ride for Colt. He had a decent finish in East Rutherford. Granted, it was mud.
Yep.
Not East Rutherford, I'm sorry. East Rutherford, he started off shitty, worked his way through. It was Atlanta. I think he had a decent ride. He was in the top 10 in Atlanta.
Atlanta, he was 9th. Rutherford, he was 16th.
Yeah,
so yes.
But Rutherford was bad. Atlanta was okay because that was his first race back.
Yeah,
but I mean, you rode good, you know. But once again, though, man, I have a comment to make later that had nothing to do with the actual race. But you look at it, and you look how many people are out though. Like Coop was out.
Oh yeah,
AP's out. Dylan's not there, and we're gonna get to this with Anderson. Anderson's fucking over it. You know, Marv's not like, dude. Everybody is out there outside of Eli and Chase. Everybody, and maybe even Kenny. Everybody is riding with something at this point.
Yeah.
And it's like awesome for Colt. So happy for the dude because I want him to prove that Honda did not fuck up by taking a chance on him, which they probably don't feel like that anyway because of how good a tester he is.
Yeah.
But it's like, dude, you just kind of backed your way into the 4th. You earned it because you stayed on 2 wheels where a lot of people couldn't. But it's like ultimately, man, like if everybody was there, where would you really be right now?
Yeah. Well, and then you look at who's behind him, and it's
Hill.
like, it's like, well, there's a couple guys behind him that like should beat him. Outside of that,
but I think honestly, Justin Hill's 5th is more impressive.
Yeah. So, at any point in that race, were you going, well, Justin Hill's going to get a podium because nobody can pass on this track
for right up until he got passed for 3rd?
Yeah,
I was like, yeah, he's probably going to get on box.
I totally thought he was going to,
which would be the wildest thing ever. But I tell you what, man, say what you want about Justin Hill, and there's a lot of things you can say to him. Does he take this serious?
What a season they're having, man.
And Josh Hill, but holy shit. Him his results this year have proved how much natural talent that kid actually has on a dirt bike.
Oh, yeah.
And it really makes you wonder if he had actually been trying his entire career, what would his career have looked like?
Yep.
Like, because, dude, the kid is so good and so fluid, and he sees so many things on the track that you look and go, yeah, there's no way. And he just, I don't know, man, like, he's just good, and it's a bummer that he didn't take things more seriously throughout his career, because I think he could have, I'm not saying he would have been one of the greatest of all time, but, man, that dude definitely would have had more than one championship.
Such is life here.
Yeah, such it is. I mean, you say the same thing about his brother, though.
Yeah.
You know?
So Justin Hill 5th, 6th, Jason Anderson.
Over it.
How long?
Fucking over it.
How long until? So number one, they say all he's riding during the week is outdoors. He's not riding Supercross anymore.
I saw a video of him at an outdoor track, but I didn't see him riding it.
Number two, how long until we get the press release of, oh, he's not riding outdoors?
The Friday before Paula. Stamp it.
Yep.
He's done, dude. He's over it. I don't know if it's internally, if it's just everything now that he has a kid and he's starting to look beyond riding dirt bikes. I know he made that comment in an interview. What was it? In off season, I think it was with Swap, where he keeps wanting to do this and like, hey, I got a couple more years in me, and like last year was a rejuvenation, and it was. I think even though he won the title in 2018, I think his Supercross season was better than that title because a lot of people talked about where his speed was that year, but last year he proved like, hey, I can go toe to toe with Eli and Chase. His outdoor season was the best he ever had. He finally got the win in an overall.
Yep.
So I think last year was arguably his best year without winning a title, but his best year of his career. But I think he's over it. I think this is what Kawasaki does to guys that don't want to play ball, that don't want to play ball with the bullshit politics that they have. He's over it. He's got a kid. He's realizing where he is in his career. He's realizing the level that right now, even though Eli's on his way out, that Chase, with Jet coming up, some of these other 250 kids, and he doesn't want to go to that level because he doesn't need to. He's already made a lot of money in his career. He doesn't need to. He knows he's never going to win. He knows he's never winning a 450 title ever again. So like, why would he rag down himself into the ground, especially now that he has a kid?
I still think we're going to see him at Triumph.
I do too. No, I don't think his career is over with.
You just think his Kawasaki career is
But
over.
I think his Kawasaki career is over it. Dude,
Yeah,
he
I
is
think so too.
over it. He is over it. And here's the funny thing. We know what this looks like with him. We saw it in 2019.
Yep.
So it's not a shock to anybody. And you know what? Anybody that doesn't have the balls outside of us, not that we're saying any breaking news, that doesn't have the balls to say that he is over it, you're lying to yourself. He's
100%.
fucking over it. He is over it. He doesn't care about this year, next year. He's done.
Nope.
And you know what? I don't blame him. Because we know what, like I said, we know what Kawasaki does to people.
Yep.
They ruin your spirits, they take the life out of you, and then you don't ever want to ride a dirt bike ever again.
100%.
You know, which the only reason it's worked for AC, because AC plays ball.
Yeah.
That's the kind of guy that he is. It doesn't bother him.
Yep.
But not a Jason Anderson, which a lot of people kind of called this. They're like, yeah, dude, he's got about a year on that team, and then he's going to be like, I don't want to do this
I
anymore.
was going to say, we said it from the beginning. And like, that's an interesting move there.
Which, you know what? Good for him, though, because that was the best year, I think, of his career. Ever.
Yeah.
Ever. It was. Statistically, that was the best year of his career, even though he didn't win a title.
Yep.
But he's over it now. And you know what? That's fine. He's gonna call off outdoors. He's gonna sit out next year. He's gonna probably do 1 year with Triumph because he loves Bobby Hewitt, and then call it a career. And you know what? We're gonna look back on his career and go, you know what? Jason Anderson was a damn good rider.
Yep.
So I don't blame him. But I will say, when he crashed, it was like, oh, that was a tip over. And then when I saw how hard his hand hit the ground, I was like, oh, broken wrist. Because that thing hit hard, dude. It like hit and then like buckled. And I'm like, oh, shit. But, I mean, two weekends in a row where he's hit the ground pretty freaking hard. No. Did he crash in Atlanta?
I don't remember.
But 2 weekends in a row that he's hit the ground pretty hard at some point. I'm like, dude, honestly, it wouldn't even shock me if we get a press release that he just sits out the last 2 rounds.
Yep. All right, so Dean Wilson, 7th.
Good.
Not bad. He wasn't happy with it. Heard a post-race interview.
Really?
Yeah, because he's been running around with Colt Nichols there, and Colt gets 4th, and he gets 7th, so he wasn't really pumped. He felt like he should have got top 5.
I mean, shoulda, coulda, woulda. Like I said, it's kind of the question that I asked you last week. I think that even though Dino might not be happy with it, I think he's going to look back on it in a few months and go, his Supercross season was pretty good.
AC 8th.
Poor AC, man.
He said that Nick had to practically smack him in the face between that heat and the main because he was not pumped about what happened. And even though he knows like there wasn't anything he could do about it, wasn't his fault, he's like, dude, I don't even know how I finished riding that.
Well, he put out
heat.
he put out that thing. What was it on Twitter? And so he put out a thing on that.
Yeah.
I think it was on Twitter, maybe.
Yeah.
Like what had happened and like how sorry he was, and he put out like a whole thing about it. But poor AC, man. Like just if it doesn't have to do with him getting asked bullshit questions about where his career is, or like having to do with what are you going to do and how are you going to go about racing this year, or crashing, he's always in the middle of something.
Yeah.
He's always in the middle of something. And this obviously was not his fault. And I mean, I hope he can come into outdoors with some confidence, and I think he will because he made it through Supercross finally.
Yeah.
And I was saying this to Wyman because obviously AC is one of Wyman's guys. I think you're going to see a really good Adam Cincerello outdoors.
Yeah, we could.
I think you're going to see a really, really good Adam Cincerello outdoors because everybody's always kind of seen his outright speed as a Supercross guy, but I've always looked at AC as an outdoor guy. And I think he's going to be really good outdoors. He just needs to make it through these last 2 rounds, and then I think he's going to be fine.
Well, he is 9th in the points after missing 3 rounds, so...
How far is he out of 8, does it say?
I don't know who's 8th.
I don't either. The points have been so up and down.
Yeah, but, okay. Chiz gets a 9th.
Good.
That's not bad. He feels like he's as
11th
fast
to
as he was on his Yamaha.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of where. Well, yeah, I mean that's kind of where he was at the end of last season. You know, he's been hovering around the 10 to 13 range.
Yeah.
You know, for the last couple rounds. So.
Yep. Josh Hill 10th, so that's good for him. Just whatever.
Talent, just natural talent for days, man.
Yep.
That's all it is.
Justin Starling 11th. That's a good ride for him. He must be feeling better because his post-race interview, he said he was really thinking he should be inside the top. Like his goal is top 10 the last couple of rounds.
Maybe the last round.
We'll see. Friend of the show, Kevin Moran's 12th. That was a good ride for him. He had a real good start. Did you see that start?
Oh yeah, dude. Right top
there.
5. Like, hey, but it's kind of the same thing we said last week when we had him off. Like, where is he at? And like we said, 11 to 13, 11 to 14, 12th kind of ends up there.
Yep.
You know, just fucking keep putting that bike out front and then on the start. So.
Well, I think he's going to solidly be. So he's currently 18th in points, but I think he's going to be pretty solid in there because
not going to make that privateer challenge though.
No, he's not doing that. That's for sure. So,
but.
Speaking of privateer challenge, Tristan Lane 13th goes from not making a main to he made last week and this week.
Yeah, and solidly.
And then 13th.
Yeah.
I mean, he was on my fantasy team, so I was super pumped.
He's I'd never talked to the kid. I seen him from way back in the day with arena cross stuff. But good for him, man. Like, yeah, it's crazy that he went from not making a main the entire year, but it probably is a little bit of annoying to him considering he does have a double-digit number. He made a lot of mains last year.
Yeah, he did.
I don't know what his best finish was in a main, but I know he made a lot of them. So it's like kind of going from, man, I make a bunch of mains last year. I have a 2-digit number, and then I don't make a main until round 14.
Yeah.
You know, so, but good for him. I don't really know what his kind of program is because I know he rides outdoors every now and then, but
he is, I believe he's in the same program with Kev.
Oh, okay.
So he's Team Next Level.
I like the graphics that he had, the pink and white or whatever.
Yeah, that was
cool. That was pretty cool.
Carnell made a main 15th. That's good for him.
Carney Asada.
Oh, sorry. Cartwright's 14th. Carnell's 15th. Marquier 16th. Devin Simonson back in the main in 17th, so that's cool. Max Miller 18th.
I think that was his first main he's been on a 450.
Didn't he get in somebody's way or something?
Yeah.
Who'd he crash with?
I don't know who he crashed with, but he was in Chase's way for like a good half a lap.
Yeah.
Because even Stu was like, Lapper's got to get out of the way, man.
Yep. Cade 19th. Shane 20th. Bike problems, though, right?
Shock blew out.
Yeah,
I think the shock lost a bunch of fluid.
Barsha decided to nose pick himself off the fucking, which Dean said that was a thing, which it was
So did
sketchy.
he hung the front wheel over the top, or did he spin?
He nose picked the top one. So okay. they were Dean said they were super shitty, like super shitty. And he was honestly nervous, and he's like, when I came around and saw Barsha laying there, he's like, I knew exactly what happened. He just nose picked off the top of that. It sucked. That was bad.
I really hope, because I didn't really pay attention to like what if he was holding anything. I just know he was down for a while. I really hope he is 100%, and if he's like banged up, he just sits out the last 2 rounds.
Yeah.
Because it's like I know he was gonna get Kenny for 4th in the points.
Yep.
He was definitely gonna get Kenny. Like let's be real, he was gonna get Kenny. I hope he sits it out and he just takes the next couple weeks to heal up because I think he's another one of those guys, kind of like AC. Like he can be frisky outdoors and he can be one of the few guys that can kind of stick his nose in there. But damn, dude, like when he hit the ground and he wasn't moving, I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yep.
I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yep. And he was frisky all day. Like, he was fast.
I mean, dude, he was leading the main.
Yeah.
So. Or not leading the main, but he was running second, and he was... I believe that Chase would have probably pushed him towards Eli, would he have been able to run that pace. But knowing what we know Eli did, I think he ultimately would have probably got around Eli because Eli just said, I don't really care anymore at this point. So.
Yep. And then Grant Harlan, who was riding the 23 YZ450.
Also decided to, I don't know if he went to Indonesia in the beginning of the whoops, the Dragon's back, I don't know, but he was laying on the side of the tough blocks.
He fucked his shoulder into oblivion from what I'm hearing. He's out for the rest of the year, and Benny is also.
Supercross at its finest.
Well, yeah, poor Grant Harlan. So
Grant was having a stellar year, dude.
Yeah, he was. But he was on the 23 instead of the 22 because his 22 got all jacked up last week in the mud. Mm-hmm. And then they didn't even have graphics for it, so he was running Benny's graphics on it.
Dude, he was having a stellar year. And we know he's a better outdoor guy. Yep. And Benny, say what we want. We've said a lot of things about Benny on the show. I don't have a problem with him. We've just said things about him that we know about him.
Yeah.
He was also having a good end of his season. Like, he was finishing races.
Yeah.
Because that's the one thing we've always said. Benny, just finish a race, dude. Finish a race. He's finishing races, got a couple top 10s, like was solid around 10th, 11th. That's a bummer.
Yeah, it is. Have you heard anything about the Coop injury before we wrap up this 450s? I haven't heard anything yet, other than further evaluation.
Concussion.
Well, I'm sure that was a
bad
thing.
Concussion. The last thing I seen was I think it was either a broken shoulder or broken collarbone, and they wanted to do evaluation on his neck.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, we might as well just talk about that for a second.
I'm really glad that the Alpine Star guys were there because for a second there, he looked like he was going to get up and try to get on his bike.
He was.
And then he stumbled, and then the Alpine Star guys were like, no.
When he started stumbling, when he was on the backside, and once again, you could say, and we've had the same thing with Mookie, like his foot might have slipped because he was on the backside of the berm, probably lost his footing, but it's definitely because of the concussion.
Yeah.
But when he started wobbling around, I was like, oh, no, do not go back towards that bike, Coop.
Nope.
I would say we're not Cooper Webb fans on this show, but I say we definitely have a healthy respect for that dude. When they showed the shot of him on the stretcher, but before he got in the ambulance and he was crying after he hugged his dad, part of me like broke a little bit inside because people have a lot of things to say about Cooper Webb in this industry. Good things, bad things, unbiased, biased, in between. Is he a dickhead? Is he too serious? He's a cool guy. Everybody seems to have a fucking comment about Cooper Webb in this industry. He seems like he's probably the most talked about dude from a guy that doesn't really talk a lot, which is weird if you think about it.
Yeah.
But you get what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people seem to have a comment about Cooper Webb in this industry, good, bad, or otherwise.
Yeah.
That shows right there how much this shit means to that kid.
Yep.
It really shows. That right there shows that if he's a kid, that this means everything to him. Outside of his wife and kid, this means his fucking life.
Yep.
And after all the shit that everybody had to say with him about 2020 or 2022, oh, he did this and, you know, he doesn't care. Take that shit and shove it up your ass. That last night, that I think that was the first ever time I ever seen Cooper Webb cry.
Yeah.
And I think that he knew, I honestly believe, and it definitely wasn't crossing his mind, but maybe in his subconscious, I think he was so emotional about that because I think he knew, outside of him going and doing World Supercross in the future, which is always a possibility, but, you know, whatever.
I keep hearing he's going to do it this summer.
Okay. Well, depending. We
don't
know. Yeah,
we'll
we
see.
don't know what he's going to do this summer now, depending on, not going to speculate, but hopefully, knock on wood, it's not. I think he knew that was the last chance he had at a title over here. I think he knew that this championship was the last time he was going to get a shot at a 450 title.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I do. I don't think he has a shot ever again at a 450
yeah,
title.
that's true. I guess.
Think about it, man. If Eli's going to retire, but if Chase is getting on form, you got Jet coming up. Like, let's be real, dude.
Yeah, Jet's just going to dominate.
No, okay, he's not
forever.
going to, but we're going to talk about that later on.
Till he retires.
Yeah, never going to happen.
It's going to be awesome.
He doesn't even dominate. Anyways, I think that he realized that was the last shot he ever had at a 450 title, and I think that's why he was so emotional.
Yeah, that could be, man. I don't know. It was rough. It was, it was touching to see that he cared that much or whatever. You could tell he was distraught that it was over. So, I don't know, man. Interesting situation. I'm glad he at least got up from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was bad. That was one of the scarier things I've seen in the last 7 years of doing the show here. But
yeah, I'm going to assume I'm not going to even assume. I'm not even going to speculate. I just think that concussion's probably going to end up looking pretty bad.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So, all right. And that's going to wrap up the 450 race recap there. Brought to you by our friends at Gutterworks. Always well hung, much like Justin Barsha.